Munchkins and viewers alike, it's me Munchie and welcome back to The Good, The Bad, The Craigslist Pet Ads. So in these types of videos, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Munchie and I run a rescue, and so I'm always on Craigslist looking at pet ads for animals that need help. My rescue caters to hamsters, gerbils, and mice, but we're going to be talking about a wide range of animals on these videos, as well as if you see an animal that you care for that I don't know much about, and ask for your opinions and help with rating these videos and looking at the good or the bad care that are in these ads. I would love your feedback in this so you can be a part of these videos as well. But this also has a good opportunity to educate those that don't know any better when seeing something that they think might be good. It actually might be bad. And so I'll further explain about what you see in the photos and what may or may not be good just for educational purposes. And two, this is to hopefully highly encourage people, instead of shopping at pet stores and places that don't really take good care of their pets and supporting them directly by promoting sales, hopefully rehomed pets out there can get the love and attention they deserve, because at no fault of their own, they are being rehomed. There's a lot of reasons why people rehome. New baby, kids are terrorizing the poor pet. I shouldn't laugh at that, but like I've literally heard people say my kids will not leave this pet alone, and you have to kind of question like, well, why'd you get in the first place? Probably should have seen this coming, right? Especially since you know your kids better than anybody, right? Kids moving, medical issues, things that you just cannot foresee. A job has taken you elsewhere. A job is making you go out on the road. You have no time for the pet anymore. And sometimes people just don't absolutely care about an animal. So please, if you're a very emotional being, don't watch these videos. They could make you upset. So let's get started. The first ad here, and I got my computer laptop over here, so I'm going to be staring here while also talking to you on the camera, will be Gerbils. Only Gerbils, $30. Plus cage and all accessories and food and bedding, $50 total. 2 male Gerbils, 1 black, 1 grayish tan white, need rehoming. Recommended 10-gallon tank home. Currently have twist cage with a set of tunnels and sleeping pod. I have a second 5-gallon glass tank, additional 20 for the extra glass tank with a lid that I sometimes switch them between for their interest, and makes cage cleaning easier. Can buy all or some of the setup. I have whatever works for your home. Gerbils are social and must be sold in pairs. That is good information. They should be sold in pairs. These two have been together since very young. They're about 9 months old, so almost a year. Also have a large bag of bedding and Timothy hay for snacking and some food. So let me just start off by saying the cages and the 10-gallon tank as a recommended for them. Absolutely not. Minimum for Gerbils needs to be a 20-gallon tank, long or high, with a tank topper to additionally have that separation from bunch of bedding in the tank to hopefully interaction up above where they can run on a wheel. So just be aware, 10 gallons are not recommended. Plus they are keeping them in habit trail that is plastic. These are not good for gerbils at all, because one, the square inch is not big enough for them, because usually these are like around 100 to 200 square inches. So it's very minimum, and gerbils chew through plastic. They have escaped before. They can really get their teeth into plastic, and flimsy plastic or hard plastic, they can chew both. But the gerbils do look pretty healthy just from me looking at them. And if we take a look at the plastic cage here, the twist cage as they call it, it doesn't look like they have enough bedding inside of there. They are burrow animals. Gerbils should have a minimum of anywhere around 5 to 6 inches of bedding, but more is preferred. Average gerbil owners have stated they have 8 to 12 inches worth of bedding piled up in their glass tanks. So as you can see here, this is about 1 inch or 2, and they do have bedding in their tube. So at least they do have their own nest that they made, but it's just not really enough. But they do have tunnels for them. But again, those tunnels are plastic, and those tunnels do have little tiny holes. If the gerbils were to get their teeth inside those holes and or any sort of edges, because tubes, they always connect together, so there is going to be a rim inside of the tube. If they start gnawing at the rim, they can actually get out. So again, very dangerous. So it looks like in this picture they have a plastic bowl, which is a big no-no. They do have a plastic water bottle, which is also a big no-no. They have 2 KT hides, different sizes, and they have a 12-inch silent spinner from KT, which I am actually very impressed with. That definitely does look like a 12-inch because of the standee. Usually if it is the 10-inch, it's a lot thinner and a lot taller looking, but this one definitely looks like it's wide, so they at least have a decent sized wheel for them. But how are they supposed to stick it in their 10-gallon tank that they have and their twist cage. They just can't. So most likely they are using this enrichment as outside of their cage time, which is appropriate for gerbils. And of course they have the premium Timothy hay, which is great for nesting. It's not really used as food. They use it as nesting. They do have an exercise ball I would not recommend at all for gerbils, especially with that tail. Don't do it. And then they have a very small, this is the smallest KT little hut there. I would not recommend that for gerbils, but at least they do have wood. And in the last photo, they do show the 10-gallon tank with the tank lid that it looks like they either made or may have purchased from, say, Etsy, but they do have that there. Honestly, they shouldn't even have, in my opinion, the twist habit trail. It's not needed. Something like this is so much better for them, but they have two things, but at least they are switching them out back and forth, but they should definitely have something bigger. So with that being said here, let's talk about the rating system real quickly. I do a rating system just for funsies, and so 5 is positively perfect, 4 is doing a good job so far, 3 is needs improvement, 2 is wow, not good, and 1 is downright neglectful and sad. This one right here, there is some needs met while other needs are not met. Honestly, this is just a needs improvement. It really is. It's not too bad. They haven't shoot out of the twist enclosure yet. Needs improvement, needs major improvement. Next one is going to be hard to say because this is something that might enrage some people. I was going to use the word trigger, but I'm trying not to use the word trigger, but basically it's going to rile you up and get a reaction out of you that probably you will be very upset with. So warning right now, this one is not good. 2 sugar gliders, Spice and Jade, male and female. They are 2 years old. They are both very sweet. Spice is a little more aggressive at first than Jade, but he'll come around. I just don't have the time they need due to work. They come with pellets, HPW, food dishes, and their cage, 600 or best offer. So right now I am just going to show you guys the photos here. It is pretty horrific for sugar glider care. If anybody owns sugar gliders, I haven't really talked about them at all here on Munchie's Place, but there is times when I will see people selling sugar gliders mainly as babies and they're breeders, whether ethical or backyard breeders. I see them a lot here, but I don't see a lot of people rehoming them. Sometimes you just don't see their enclosure that they come in, but this one was posted in multiple places and I did happen to see multiple sections of this rehome and it's just awful. And I actually made a list to make this a little bit easier on you guys about what is wrong with all of these photos and pictures you are seeing in here. Goodness. First off, it is an 18 by 18 cage. These are quite small for sugar gliders in my opinion. 5-inch Critter Trail wheel, the yellow one, it's way too small because they need room to run and jump. That's what they do. Blue Silent Spinner wheel is on the ground. It's not in use. It looks like it honestly could be like a bath of some sort or just like another feeding station. It doesn't look good. There's feces everywhere in this enclosure. The bottom cage is absolutely filthy. Oh my God. Yes, I'm saying God's name. I'm allowed to say it. It's my videos. Shh. Food bowls are filthy. Sticking the pencils in the sugar glider's face is awful. You only see people sticking pencils and things inside of enclosures when they are testing an animal to see if the animal will respond negatively. And that is a bad sign because if you see them sticking a pencil in, they're automatically going to say, oh, that thing's in my face. Oh, it's getting closer. And if you really stick it in their face, they are going to get a negative reaction. Just like when you entice a dog and you won't stop and you won't leave it alone, they will react. So basically you were teaching them bad behavior here. Absolutely bad behavior. There's no chew toys inside this enclosure. Water bottle is Critter Trail and loosely hanging. The stuff stacked on top of the enclosure, the cereal, the kitten milk supplement, the powder, the rosewood treats. I think that's what it is. It's just a really messy and filthy situation for animals to be in, let alone people. Male and female pairing, but possibly the male is fixed due to bald spot on the head. Just from what my friend has said, she knows a little bit more about sugar gliders than I do, so she thinks that this could be a male and female and the male is fixed. And for those of you who do not know, females are so much harder to spay. It is most likely never performed on sugar gliders, so that's why they only fixed the male. Otherwise, it was a very risky surgery that could have been avoided if you're doing a male and female pairing. Rock inside of enclosure doesn't need to be inside the enclosure, and then on tiny plastic container could easily be pushed off because what they're sitting it on is just not good, especially for something as heavy as a metal 18 by 18 cage. This is downright neglectful and sad. I want to move on. This is upsetting me. And yes, we are now moving on to another horrible case here. My rescue was actually sent this to me and I cannot help this animal out, so I just thought that I would post it, especially since the ad is apparently like 2 months old. But this one is a Robo Dwarf hamster, cage, bottle, food, bedding, ball, rehoming fee, must buy everything, not just the hamster. 40 and text this number. Serious people only right now, needs good home, can't take care of him, no scammers, stay TF away, no emails, I do not check them. So honestly, this is just my opinion. This ad sounds horrible just from what the person is saying. They are so aggressive in their ad and they're so short and blunt and just, I'm just doing this right now. 40, just right here, 40. So let's check out the first image where we can clearly see the Tiny Tails enclosure where the wheel is on the ground, not in use. It is filthy. If you see the bottom of the enclosure, yes, there's seed mix everywhere, but if you take a closer look, there is the KT, Clean and Cozy cage plastic liner in there. You know where you have those trays that has like an inch of bedding and you buy 3 of them for like $10.99? That is what that is. But instead of removing the plastic, they put the plastic on top of the actual bedding so the hamster cannot burrow. Bedding is supposed to be in there for a reason, right? Because it absorbs ammonia and it also gives them a place to nest and to burrow because they're burrow animals. They are denying this robo access to the shavings. And we don't know what shavings those are, but this is horribly filthy. Like, who the Sam does this? It is honestly downright neglectful and sad for a second time. I'm sorry. I had to share this with you guys. This cage also is not acceptable because it is way too small. Hamsters need an average of 450 in the United States, 620 in the United Kingdoms, and then around 860 and above, somewhere around 1,000 for Germany, because Germany for pet care is higher standards than us because of availability, what they have access to, and the market there. It honestly all depends on the pet market, and that sucks because there is research out there, which I will link below from now on in the videos, about the research between stress and cage sizes. We have proof from scientists that these enclosures are too small and this is their instinct to forage and run for miles, and you're putting them in a shoebox. Okay, great. We here in the United States and other places, because I know people were saying the Philippines is absolute garbage and also Mexico, absolute garbage as well for the pet industry and the cages down there. It just sucks because it's just like, you think the United States is pretty bad. There's other places that are absolutely worse. Hopefully with videos like this that can be viewed by a bunch of different people, people can start to come together and understand why these are bad. So on that regard, I want to touch on something that I don't think I've really touched on the Craigslist pet ads, because we on the channel are talking about companionship and animals and stuff like that, but I want to talk about feeders today, especially feeders on Craigslist. Yes, snakes do have to eat, and unfortunately we do need to have a supply of feeders. But if you do have a snake or do have an animal that has to eat other animals so they can have the nutrients they need to survive just like they do in the wild, then you should get them from reputable sources, from actual breeder feeders that have credentials, that have good care of their feeders. Even though their feeders will go like this very quickly, that is good. Those are good places, because we do need to understand that yes, these animals unfortunately are bred for the purpose of other food. Just like for us here, our meat eaters. Hello, I am a part of meat eating group here that still appreciates animals and understands the need for meat. We have farms, and these farms are either mass produced or they are local farms that take really good care of the animals to let their animals actually live naturally until it comes time to have them be slaughtered so that they can provide food for the tables. But there are some places, especially around the world, it's just that if they're in really tight quarters or unclean quarters, they can get diseases and that could spread. And at this moment, with this pandemic, I just want to talk about feeder living conditions, because you as a consumer for your type of reptile or animal that has these needs for getting live animals, you really should be looking at reputable sources. And if you can't and you have to go elsewhere because there's a shortage, which is understandable, and people should understand there could be shortages just like with reptiles that eat bugs. If there's a shortage of crickets or dubia roaches or anything like that, you are looking looking elsewhere, and sometimes it can get very hectic. But this ad right here says mice trio, 1 male, 5 females. First come, first serve, no holds. It will need to be an extra $50 to deliver. 50 for typically like 6 mice. It could be because this person is panicking during the pandemic, which is not okay. And sometimes people inflate prices, which you really shouldn't. If you're not that far away, if you're like maybe 5 or 10 minutes down the road and you just don't have time, and if this person says they'll deliver, it should be reasonable. It shouldn't be like, oh, hey, yeah, I demand $50, because goodness gracious, that's like filling up my gas tank. I only put like $40 in my gas tank, and this guy's asking 50. Like, jeez, that's a lot. So the next thing says, I have a trio of mice, which if you have a trio of mice, that's 3. So why do you say you have a trio of mice, then say 1 male, 5 females for sale? That's not a trio. Okay, people do not math. Females for sale at the time. I will have more as they just had babies a week ago, so I will have more males and females to sell. I am asking 10 for all of them. Okay, so if you're just asking 10 for all of them, that's a little bit better than asking for $50, right? They are way better quality than pet store mice. If you don't know genetics, maybe or maybe not, and if you are not keeping their area clean, maybe or maybe not. So just saying, don't worry guys, I'm good, is not a validation. You shouldn't just get validation from this person's post because they're like, hey, I'm a good person, right? Stab, 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 stab. I'm a good person because I say so. Stab, stab, stab. You just don't know. You really don't know. And I'm using stab, 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 stab because like I used to play video games, especially horror video games. It's like, is this person a good person or is this person a bad person? Stab, 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 stab. Don't worry, I would never do that to you guys. Never. Oh no! I've turned evil. So the validation also is they don't bite, they don't eat their babies, and they don't freak out when you clean the cage. Maybe are interacting with mice at a very young age, so that is a good thing. Or people could just be saying that, you don't know. When mice eat their babies, just like with any small rodent animal, you could either one, have a new time mother, and instinctively to protect herself and protect the remainder of her babies, she'll eat the babies that are probably not gonna make it so the others can survive, or they're in stressful environments. So they're trying to make a validation that, hey, at least they're not stressed out. So the reason why I bring this up is because I see what they are currently housed in. And now we don't know their supply or their stock, but just from seeing where they're kept, what the room looks like, what they're feeding them, which is from Walmart, that's a horrible food choice for a mouse. And they're doing this because they want to make as much money as possible, so they are going for the lowest option. So this right here looks like it is a 10-gallon tank. They only have 1 box hide that, you know, they didn't pay for because they just made it. It looks like they have 1 wheel, and it might be the 7-inch You and Me from Petco wheel. There is aspen or cedar in there. It's some sort of wood shavings, cannot identify. But the whole area of which these mice are kept in looks like garbage. If you are a supplier of feeders, your living conditions don't look like this. Honestly, I'll say, wow, not good, because really it isn't when it comes to feeder quality, because you want to provide them at least a good space so that when they do have to go, they did live a fulfilling life for the amount of time that they had here on this planet. But it just, I don't like it, especially if they put multiple in the same tank. And I'm wondering too if they actually decide which mice to breed or how often this mice can breed, because again, if you don't know about genetics, you could accidentally be breeding some very sickly animals and they might not survive, and you might just have like a colony that just dies off, or maybe a colony that has diseases if you're not keeping them in sanitary conditions. And that's why I respect suppliers who actually have sanitary conditions. Like I said before, we need them, but this is just yikes, not good. Speaking of snakes, let's try this one, female Mojave boa. This one is a 4-year-old and very gentle. Whole setup is included. It's a 40-gallon tank, heating pad, zoo light, and everything seen in the tank. But what I do want to make a note of is that I feel like for a boa here, they should have stuff to be able to climb on. There is branches, yes, but they don't have stuff that is kind of strung across their enclosure where they can wrap around some vines or branches. And that is all that I'm really seeing in here. They do have a big enough water setup so that if the boa wants to go and soak, because snakes do soak. This setup to me is just doing a good job so far, but if you have more to comment on, leave them down below. Honestly, these setups are doing a lot better than what I see other people, especially for these size and snake. If you see them in tiny little breeder boxes and they're like really big snakes, I mean, it's just, you you gotta give him space, you know? So this one is a carpet python, they say. He's the male, juvenile, he's about 4 feet long, he's kind of a little spicy, and he weighs 1,140, eating smallish live rats, asking 100 for him and 200 for full setup. And the snake is pretty big, and this setup here I like a little bit more because one, they are providing a bigger tub, so he is a little bit bigger. There is stuff for him to climb on, like what I was describing before. There is a vine in this one so he can stretch across in, and there is a hide, there is a light. They do have that DIY above the tank to keep the humidity at the correct temperature. But again, guys, if you think the setup needs a little bit more improvement, let me know down below. But to me, this looks like they're doing a good job so far. Like they actually care enough to invest in a big tank, but now they are rehoming them, unfortunately. Now, this ad right here has really nothing wrong with it, but I wanted to bring this up because this is a good educational piece here. So this person has a male hedgehog with cage, silent runner, wheel, and all supplies, which actually sounds really good. Adult male hedgehog available. We got him a couple years ago from an excellent local breeder. Friendly and easygoing. All supplies come with him, including big bag of food, cage, wheel, igloo, 200 rehoming fee for all. And the reason why I bring it up is because they said they got him a couple years ago from a local breeder. Breeders have contracts that they give out to people who buy from them. If they are ethical breeders that actually want to keep track of their animals because they care a lot about their animals, they have people sign their contracts. And in the contract for almost all breeders that I know of that are ethical and they care a lot about their animals, they will have it so that if you ever cannot take care of your animal, or if you're moving, or if you have to rehome it due to circumstances, they are obligated to take that animal back. You're signing a contract that says, hey, you cannot go ahead and just rehome this animal. You got to bring it back, and we will work with you and stuff like that if you need to rehome them. Now, what these people could have done is they could have brought the hedgehog back to the breeder and just sold the stuff as is online. This person could have, one, maybe disregarded the contract. Two, maybe there was no contract to begin with, and maybe this breeder just did not have a contract in place. I mean, we just don't know about these circumstances, but this is a good time to at least bring that up so you guys are aware. If you do have unfortunate circumstances, please bring it back to the breeder. And if the breeder is no more, you could still at least inquire to see if they will take the animal back. So it's always a good idea to ask. So I know that this video doesn't really have a lot of good care in it, but let's talk about some more unfortunate souls. 3 sweetheart guinea pigs. Rehoming 3 beautiful, friendly guinea pigs. We are moving and we'll be able to take them with us. They've been socialized with a cat, a bunny, and people of all ages. They're about 10 months old. Small rehoming fee of $80, which includes the cage and their remaining food toys. Please text. So the first one you see here is the guinea pig, and the guinea pig looks like it is on what I think is aspen shavings, and unfortunately the aspen shavings look kind of dirty, and if you look above, they are in not the igloo, but kind of like the plastic house you find at Petco, and this thing looks kind of dirty from the top, so you don't really know what the cage looks like. So let's continue. The next one is horrific. Oh my god. So this cage is the guinea pig starter cage from KT. So we have the water bottle that is hanging horribly. That's not how you are supposed to hang that water bottle. There is a litter pan inside of there that is way above the cage, where guinea pigs, they can't curve their backs. So how are they supposed to climb up that? They're not like monkeys, they're not like Syrians where they can literally climb up stuff. That is in a place that they aren't able to reach, and or maybe they do have something going into there. But if you look underneath where that litter pan is, it looks like that is a snack shack log, and that log right there is really chewed up, and it looks like there is some tree branches from outside. I don't know if they sanitized them or not, but if they didn't, that could bring in parasites, and you can actually transfer over parasites to your piggies if they start chewing on that. Please do not do that. Sanitize all wood outside safely. There's videos on YouTube for that. But if you look at the food looks like a low quality brand. It does look like there is some seeds in there. I want to say that looks like corn or carrot right there, but I'm not entirely sure. I like to just give my guinea pigs pellets. So they chewed up the purple medium You and Me Too from Petco. I can tell you right now, this must all be from Petco, just from the looks of it. And the last image that you see, it does look like we have a bendy bridge, but at the same time, the way that this is set up just doesn't look safe for guinea pigs. We do have a Where chew toy over there, or a You and Me chew toy. We do have a little, what looks like the little tiny orange and brown You and Me Petco bridge that's made for hamsters, and mainly dwarf hamsters or mice. It's that small. And it looks like there is a log back there, maybe, question mark. But if you again look at the bottom of this cage, it is awful. And if there's 3 guinea pigs, which there is in one cage like this size, this is downright neglectful and sad. There is there really is no excuse for what you're seeing here. Guinea pigs need CNC style cages. Please look that stuff up online. These cages are meant to be big and open because they are herding animals and they need a bigger space. They don't need cages. They are not like smaller pocket pets where they can be in cages. They just gotta be in big enough cages. Guinea pigs will do fine in playpen-like enclosures, and that's really what they need. Wrapping this up, we got 2 ones left. This one is kind of concerning, so I wanted to discuss this with you. Rehoming my sweet little boy. He is a great hamster and is good with being handled. I am rehoming him because he needs more outside of the cage time that I can't give him because of my cat. When he gets bored, he does backflips. That right there, I'm just gonna stop right now. That is a neurological condition. They should not be doing backflips. If he is doing backflips, most likely what is happening is he has some sort of brain damage, and or maybe he was born with this disability. But Buttercup, which I believe I discussed with you guys here on the channel, she had horrible neurological damage where she kept looking up, and it's called stargazing. So where she looks straight up and she can't control her balance, she falls backwards. And some hamsters actually do backflips. So when she discussed that this hamster does backflips, that makes me wonder if this hamster was in her care, maybe got dropped, and then he started doing backflips, which makes me very concerned. Or this hamster maybe was born with it, or this hamster was like this and she got this hamster from the pet store. This is a Sunfire Hungarian hamster. You can definitely tell by the coat and coloration and the face, but this animal does look a little bit misshapen, which I think maybe is the reason why he's doing these backflips. There's just something not right with him, and or maybe he's an older guy. But you see him hunched like that, that doesn't look like an actual good stance for him. And then when he is climbing up the side of this enclosure here, those ramps look kind of hard for him to climb up, especially if he does have some sort of disability or mobility issues. This enclosure I don't like because it's wood, and Syrians have chewed out of this, and I just don't like promoting it because you can't really add a lot of pan depth in here without getting it everywhere where you go to open up the cage, besides them chewing it to death. And this guy, there's 3 layers, and this is why I think most likely he may have ended up brain damage, is because this is 3 layers, and I honestly do not like this. I have been told by past owners of this style enclosure that their hamster fell, and when they fell, they think their hamster injured themselves or hurt themselves, or a couple days later they passed away suddenly after that fall, which they think could have caused it. But a dwarf hamster, honestly, in my opinion, and just from what the sounds, what I presented to you guys today, I don't think this cage is appropriate at all to be used for dwarf hamsters. The wheel is the 5-inch wheel. This is not good. This could also be another reason why her hamster looks the way he does, is because he is curving in a very small saucer treadmill wheel. So just to let you guys know, saucer treadmill wheels can be used. They just have to be the right size. You have to get a big size so that when they're running on the treadmill, they're not curving upwards as they're running, that they can run completely straight on the treadmill. Now, in the other countries like the United Kingdoms or Germany, people have said you should not be using these as main wheels. That's a big debate right now, whether or not that is true or not, just because if the hamster is completely running straight, it should be fine, just like for any classic wheel, and people have debated not using them because the hamster can spin out of them. If you guys know about hamsters, when they are on something new, especially like a wheel, if they don't know how fast they're going, they will fly off of it at first, but then once they get used to the wheel, they control their speed and they control how fast they're going, and when they stop, they know how to stop. There has been hamsters that have trained themselves how to use wheels. Like with any sort of new thing, for instance, maybe like a car, when you hit the accelerator, it might be more sensitive than another car. That's the thing. It's just like you're not used to something that's new to you, so that's why it happens. So with any sort of wheel, whether it be classic or flying saucer wheels, these wheels can make hamsters fly off of them. So just honestly needs improvement. The last one I thought I had already posted about. I have this somewhere on one of my computers. I have so many past ads that I still need to go through. I want to say maybe it's been 3 or 4 months since I might have seen this ad originally, and they even state in this ad that they had to repost it because of people flaking all the time. But there's a lot of issues that you might be seeing here. 2 guinea pigs. I'm looking to rehome my 2 brother guinea pigs. I recently started school, and working leaves me with very little time for them. I've had them since they could fit in my hand, and asking $20 to ensure they go to a good home. That's actually a really good price for 2 guinea pigs plus their enclosures. Comes with cage and accessories and food. So the first photo that you see right here is the guinea pig with baby chew toys. These are plastic chew toys. You should not be having plastic inside of a guinea pig enclosure, especially if they start gnawing away at those pieces, and if they start breaking off, they can ingest them. That is not okay. Don't have plastic inside of a guinea pig's enclosure. This enclosure right here is, I think, the KT rat starter cage. It looks like the rat because you can always tell by the pan. The purple one is for the rabbits. The black one is supposed to be like the rat manor, I think it's called. And it actually was a 2-level cage. And I actually think I noted that before too, that this was the rat one. They just took off the top ledge so it can be a bigger space for them. But you can see the ground is dirt. You really shouldn't be having dirt inside of a guinea pig's enclosure. Yes, there is dirt that can be used outside if you have outside enclosures for guinea pigs in the summertime when they can come out. People can do that. I see that a lot for guinea pigs that live in the United Kingdoms. They have their own like guinea pig gardens and it's very cute. But inside of a enclosure like this, that's going to be really hard to clean up, honestly. But if you look at the other photo, yes, there is 2 really large guinea pigs, adult guinea pigs inside this enclosure. Again, with the baby toys that shouldn't be. And if you look on top of their enclosure, hey, look, is that maybe a rat or maybe a hamster? There is another enclosure on top of that enclosure. And if you look closely, those bars are looking filthy. So this is, yikes, not good at all because one, they're in a very small cage, which they shouldn't be in. Again, like I said before, guinea pigs need CNC playpen style enclosures, and it just looks like this is not very enriching. I don't see any hides. We didn't see the other side. It's not gonna look much bigger than what you see here, so I don't know what's over there, but this is just, yikes, not good at all. I could even say this is downright neglectful and sad. It's really on the border of those 2 things here. It's not good. So thank you guys so much for watching today's video. Yes, there was a lot of negativity in here, like I said to you guys before. When it comes to the good Craigslist ads, they are few and far in between. If you liked today's video, hit like to show support, comment down below with anything you'd like to say regarding this video here, and subscribe if you're new and would like to become a part of the Munchkin family. And I'll see you guys around. I guess I can say one more thing. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for watching the ads too, because at the time I currently don't have a job because I'm on standby, unemployment because of the pandemic. My workplace had to close down because our Governor Jay Inslee issued the order, and right now all I can do is make YouTube videos. So this is gonna help for next month. For anybody wondering why YouTube doesn't pay weekly or bi-weekly, nope, it's every month YouTube pays the channel. And of course I'm taking care of the animals at the rescue. So originally the money that I made from YouTube ads and stuff like that actually went towards the rescue and a little bit myself. But now we are just on standby, and oh my gosh, it's a lot. But thank you for supporting, and I love you guys. Bye!